Już za chwilę.
Just in a moment on this stage we will see Leszek Jażdżewski, a head editor of Liberty and co-creator of Freedom Games. When I asked him how it happened that this idea was born, he said that 12 years ago they just wanted to celebrate 4th of June in some special way. It was a holiday of regaining freedom by Poland after communist time. The Freedom Games were born. The first one were indeed on 4th of June. Then this date was moved. 8 years of Law and Order party ruling made freedom or defense of freedom actually to be a state's direction. After 2023, this freedom, we have to properly consume this freedom, and Freedom Games are the place where people meet for whom the protection of freedom is very important. I invite Leszek Jażdżewski, who will present a strategy for times of uncertainty. Thank you, Ola. Well, each time when, maybe first of all, I'm glad that some of you still left here, even after main star of this evening, President Kwaśniewski, already left. I think after hearing him, many of us would be glad to choose him for the third term. It would be nice to change the constitution in this regard. Mr. President is not here anymore, but someone can tell him. We lost 3 minutes of my time, but it doesn't matter. I would like to share with you an observation that I went too far with my presentation, with my speech. I was very ambitious. I wanted to publish a text in Wyborcza newspaper. I will not mention any names, but I call an editor and I say, Romek, I have a real bomb. I mean, the text, which is a speech, something extraordinary. I write it down during the night. The next day it appears that the text will be published before the speech, and it was not too weak, but it was over-intellectualized and not so bright, not so... My text, over-intellectualized, not so sharp. I think people would fall asleep if I deliver this speech. So I just throw it away. Perhaps you know an anecdote from Jerzy Lec. I mean, that's the quote. When some lady asked me nicely, I guess it's difficult to come up with all that from your head like you do. He said, yes, it's difficult, but I think that coming up with all that from my leg would be even harder. So I will not talk to you from neither from my leg nor from my hip, but from my head. I don't have any speech, as you can see, prepared, so I need to fill up my time, broadcast time. I expect that tomorrow in the evening, many of you will still appear, not to see me, but anyways, what I wanted to say is that each time I approach the games, I have certain tension, pressure inside. I wanted to finish already, to have it behind me, but when I come here to the empty room, and when in the process everything is installed and prepared, when I come in and I see people crowding to see Owsiak, Kwaśniewski, all these meetings, I have this huge satisfaction. And I'm really thankful that you are this year with us on the games. As you may know, it's not the only important event during this weekend. Personally, I regret that Law and Order President Kaczynski is organizing his evening in Katowice, because my dream to invite Mateusz Morawiecki to the debate how to support Polish entrepreneurs, Polish young people, or Glapiński, how to build independent society, or Przemysław Czarnek about educational panels, how to de-idealize school, or to debate with Jacek Kurski about free media. I'm glad that, as I've said that in radio before, editor was afraid that irony would not be received by audience, but I can see it's here. one of representatives of Law and Order decided to come here to Lodz. He's from Ludzkie Voivodeship, so it's easy to guess. But even here, President Kaczynski did something bad for us. He decided to deliver his speech to finish his Law and Order evening speech. So, Mr. Jarek, please stop this approach. Allow representatives of your party to come to our debate. We hope that you will do better next year and you will allow such great names from Law and Order party to come here. And another thing related to Program Congress, and now I would like to go closer to the subject, a Program Congress that was for liquidation and unity of civic platform and quite household announcements. If you saw that there were some shifts last moment, if some minister or vice minister or deputy to the parliament, it's because we didn't know where and when this Congress will take place. But to be completely frank, I think, and I said that to Prime Minister, that it would be much better for them if after this 15th of October, well, they did not celebrate this anniversary loudly, if they would keep their party Congress to come and meet those who created this 15th October with you, with citizens who in fact won that elections. I'm supposed to say about strategies for uncertainty times. I think the first thing that crosses my mind is that when a person arrives that has a Messiah document, it would be most probably a demagogue and a liar. And please do not trust people who have simple solutions for complicated challenges. We want to face uncertainty, so we have a Congress with 120 discussion panels. So what I can do is I can share with you certain observations and doubts. And Ola, quite nicely, I did not discuss it ahead. Ola Pawlińska, I'm really grateful for this entrance on this huge stage, on a Freedom Games stage. Big applause to Ola. Ola said something important, very important. She said, and that's true, that first Freedom Games were to commemorate this great movement, this great surprise. Surprise not only because civic clubs were surprised, but also it was a democratic surprise, first one that Poles could afford after circa about 60 years. And such a surprise was 15th October for us, for contemporary Poland, of course, by preserving all the proportions. We lived in authoritarian system, but it was a democratic surprise that we allowed ourselves. And I would really like about that spirit that we felt during political agitation, during a voting process, so that we don't lose this spirit, so that we're not allowed to take away this victory. I think it's important that when Law and Order Party, after so many months, prepares their program Congress, I laughed about it, but they also had 100 panels, hundreds of experts. They come up with all that. They gather, they take away ministers from a real Congress that speaks to people. So this kind of addressing your opponent who is in opposition is completely unclear, incomprehensible. And we live, I suppose, it's like we live in a country where this victory did not take place. Like Law and Order is not in power anymore, but like it's still ruling. I mean, the mentality, right-wing mentality, this shadow over Poland is poisoning minds and hearts. Not you, not yours, because I'm sure that the spirit of fight, democracy spirit of openness and tolerance is still alive. But it's poisoning minds and hearts of those who rule. In my opinion, and I speak only in my own regard, as you know, I have a tendency to, how to put it mildly, to throw a grenade and see what happens next, and then calculate casualties. I don't want this time to go too far, because it's not about saying that when we find out that Kasia Tusk was observed by Pegasus. It's about returning the lawlessness. I'm really glad that Mateusz Żurek will be here on the Congress, or Adam Bodnar, a target of many criticism, who will come here no matter their Congress in Warsaw, Andrzej Domański, and other very important persons. It's not a personal trip. I think that all these people have a lot of effort and humbleness and bravery that they come here in the time where their parties summoned them to Warsaw. And I want to really express my gratitude to all the members of parliament, self-governors from a civic coalition and from other parties, because I know that being here can be a cost for you. So I thank you and I congratulate your bravery. But going back to the thing that evokes a feeling of ethical confusion in me, the fact that these 11 millions of votes that widely understood coalition received is like not seen today. We still hear that Poland turned right, world turned right. So no, ladies and gentlemen, it's not the world that turns right, but according to politicians, you centrists, liberals, you allowed to be defeated by weak populists. It's not the fact that world turns right, it's that you were not credible, it's that you used tools from previous century. It's not our fault. We did everything for you to win. We gave you the victory, not on the plate. It was a hard work, and we need to appreciate Donald Tusk, who gave hope for the victory. But, ladies and gentlemen, today we have very little this hope for victory. No matter whom you talk to, politicians, ruling ones, they already step-by-step planning their retrieval plan. It's not tactical retreat, but it's a preparation to retreat. And I will say they will handle. If not a vice minister, they will maybe not have a governmental limousine, but they will manage, they will handle. But then you will be standing on the streets, in the rain, in the snow, like 10 years ago or 6 years ago, until 2023, many of you I saw standing under the court, under Lorenori party office. You were standing and you were protesting. Okay, politicians will come to you to take a selfie, but then they will go to the studio and they will comment about the huge fate of Polish Republic, and people will pay the price. Poland, that wanted to be liberated from this right-wing stench, wanted the right to safely go to see the doctor, not being afraid that doctor will lie to you about the safety of their pregnancy, for example. These are, ladies and gentlemen, very basic things that I never expected we will be talking about 2 years after the election. A party that has 1.5% of support in polls is a kind of a tail that is waving a dog. And it's my impression that we lack the thinking entitled, do we have our own program? Do we have our own ethical order, own values? The word values I now, for some reason, connote with some Catholic Church or Radio Maria, is the fright before being afraid of law and order party is our value, being anti-peace, anti-law and order, Do you think you can win elections like that? It's what Kwaśniewski said. Original will always win with a cheap copy. They always laugh at you. I think it's Manson who said
800+.
that after announcement to take away 800 plus program from Ukrainian mothers, innocent Ukrainian mothers, he said Trzaskowski needs to try harder to get enlisted to Confederacja. And Rafał Trzaskowski, he got 10 millions of votes, a guy who day to day sits on the shopping competition. He's not dancing disco polo with Martyniuk, he only took one picture. It was not very suitable for him.
Credibility. Either you are credible, you speak what you believe, and you fight for it, or you are not credible and you lose. Will you remember Kaczynski ever trying to please us, pretending he's like us, speaking our language, our values? No, he's always against the wall. He is the man who understands, though he has printed Twitter, he has no email, he's of a different age, but he's building the program of his party. He holds an iron grip on it, and he goes for non-standard media. Thank you for all the media for being here. Like we were with you when where you were by the previous authority. Applause for the free media, please. But Kaczynski understands that the algorithm that is spinned by big tech serving Trump, well, you don't need to be a socialist to understand that economic freedom in this case means freedom for lying, for being radical, for cheating, because lots of these messages are simply right-wing bots. As a liberal, I believe it has gone far too far. But Kaczynski and his acolytes use it. They believe only strong message will be transmitted. It's like a fire in the forest. But we keep thinking we have the supportive paper, kind media, at least neutral media. We will make it somehow. No, ladies and gentlemen, it's gone. This climate being so loose. So lack of credibility is another problem of our part. No narrative, as we heard before, the narrative that collapsed, that is over after we enter the EU, the NATO. The question is not to negate the success, but understand that this attitude of supremacy that had its place, the attitude that says it needs to be like in the West, doesn't work any longer on polls. As a liberal, I keep saying something that is our job number one. We need to rebuild the community. Apart from liberté, égalité, we need to find space for fraternity, brotherhood and sisterhood, as you will hear later on. That's the ground to start building social bonds, to convince our co-citizens that we do not serve an ideology. We are on your side. Bernie Sanders, if you will remember, an elderly guy who can attract Democrats in the US. What did he do? Bernie Sanders said, you need to introduce uniform healthcare in the US, something that ignited rage also among Democrats and also in Big Pharma, who shot at him verbally. But Sanders had this political scent because he showed, I'm ready to take the bullet for you. What about our politicians? What cost did you incur? What did you risk for us so that we feel you are on our side? Last but not least, using the 2 last minutes I still have, I want to tell you that there is nothing worse than mental acceptance of losing. For those who follow the Polish football, a quarter of my watching Polish national team, we lose before the game. Still at the cloakroom, they look in the eyes of the British English, Italians, Albanians. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we didn't make it. We played as the opponent allowed. Nothing happened. Yes, it did happen. Accepting the failure, the defeat, only means it will happen. 2 years ago, nobody knew who Karol Nawrocki was, save for some hooligans, pimps, and a historian. Sorry for the company. In 2 years' time, you can do so much, but you need to have this feeling. And I'm talking to politicians, those at the Congress that is happening tomorrow. You are not here any longer. You lost with your mentality. You are cleared out. You can pack your bags and go. Accept it. And may this warning release the pressure for you. My friend Michał Kałużyński said how he shot penalties. He kept thinking, I missed the penalty. And at the 90 minutes of the game with the Germany, you come and shoot in the center of the goal. Lose, because you know you lost. If you know you lost, be courageous enough, start improvising, stop being afraid of what the people who won't vote at you, for you, think. Think about us, the 20 million people who voted for you. Let us hold the faith in victory. Michael Jordan said, I'm going to win this game. Who's coming with me? Thank you. A round of applause for Leszek Jażdżewski, the father of the freedom game. Ladies and gentlemen, a short break to grab headsets, because the next part that crowns this evening would be in Ukrainian. Please grab your headset and be back with us in no time.
Mam plan na bezpieczną firmę. To plan firmowy z cybertarczą, która blokuje zagrożenia w sieci.
Cyberbezpieczeństwo? Masz od tego Orange. Teraz cybertarcza za 0 zł we wszystkich planach firmowych, a w wybranych smartfony 50% taniej. Orange tu jest.
PL Music Video Awards, festiwal polskich wideoklipów, spotkania, projekcje, warsztaty, do tego gala finałowa i wybór najlepszych polskich teledysków. Zapraszamy do Łodzi 4-6 grudnia, szczegóły na www.plmva.com.
W kinie doceniam prawdziwe emocje,
Na boisku pilnuję czystej gry.
W kuchni poszukuję autentycznych smaków.
ale w internecie jest to trudniejsze.
W internecie wobec informacji też trzeba być sędzią. Dezinformacja jest jak bramka strzelona ze spalonego.
Więc jeśli coś we mnie wzbudza emocje, daję sobie czas. Może ktoś specjalnie chce mnie zagotować, bym uległa manipulacji.
Filtruj informacje.
Sprawdzaj ich źródła.
Nie masz pewności? Nie udostępniaj.
Postaw na czysty przekaz.
Telewizja Polska to więcej tego, co widzowie cenią najbardziej. Pasjonujące filmy i seriale, a w obsadzie najbardziej gorące nazwiska. Największe sportowe imprezy i momenty, które przejdą do historii. Bieżące wydarzenia, którymi żyje Polska i świat. Przebojowe koncerty, które łączą w zabawie wszystkich Polaków. Znakomite spektakle, które gromadzą rekordową publiczność. Telewizja Polska. Otwórz się na więcej.
Do zgłoszeń? Gotowi?
Start!
Ja zgłoszę bibliotekę!
Ja, pierwszy basen w gminie.
Ja amfiteatr gra od naszej orkiestry. Wszystko w waszych rękach. Co powstanie dzięki wsparciu totalizatora sportowego w twojej okolicy? Zgłoś obiekt sportowy lub kulturalny. Wejdź na stronę gdygrasz.pl, bo gdy grasz, wszystko gra.
Polska Stolica Kultury. Jesteś na miejscu.